Welcome to Win, the show where we explore the moment people had to let go of destructive pattern, limiting identity, and the internal battle to build their life with purpose and clarity. Our three guests is Joe Zahaitis, our 30 years payment industry veteran, founder of the Zahaitis Consulting and the payment process, and one of the clearest voices in the industry that has built its business model on being deliberate and clear. Joe doesn't sell payment processing. He advises, educates, and challenge assumption, helping merchant operator and executive understand how money actually moves through the organization, where complexity has replaced clarity, and what it costs them every single day. It goes on. At the defining moment in his career, what made staying was no longer an option. In his words, was what was being done did not match with what should be done. It's a pleasure and honor having you, so.
Thank you for having me here. And I love that last little statement. I forgot that I put that out there, but that is absolutely true.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Sir Joe, 30 years inside an industry in a long time to keep noticing the gap between what is being done and what should be done now. What did you have to quit accepting about how the payment industry operates before the gap became something you couldn't ignore anymore?
Again, 30 years in the payments industry, my joke is always I got in when Jesus left his sandals in the desert kind of a thing. It's been a while. And when I started in the payments industry, I didn't know from knowing because it was new for me as well. But the industry itself was relatively new. And I thought, and I believe there was a great sense of honor and interest in what we were doing for our clients and our merchants to help them just be able to accept this new thing called digital payments. And what's happened over the decades I've been in it has become less about helping people, merchants and businesses with their payments and more about how can we extract as much revenue from these merchants and their consumers. And that was kind of the biggest defining moment for me when it became, and we are perceived in the industry, in the payments industry, one step below used car salespeople. I mean, everyone believes that the merchant, and for the most part, a lot of ISOs are, they're out there trying to maximize their revenue, not help you as a merchant, as a client, as someone who's accepting payments. So for me, when that gap got big enough, which was a while ago, but also not that long ago, I finally decided, look, I'm going to look at this from the merchant side, from the guys who are accepting the payments and are trying to just do good business and how they're being mistreated by the very industry that has raised me.
Yeah, I think this is really a whole having to see things from the merchant perspective, not just more like from the persons who at the end of the day process all their payments without knowing the pain point of what the customer is. It's really amazing. And also you build your entire practice on the premise that most business don't understand how money move through their own company. What did you have to quit assuming about what leaders already knew before they could build something that actually helped them?
Yeah, it would be my belief that as much as merchants want to know what they're paying and always believe they're paying too much, if you ask them what they're actually paying and do they know whether it's a good value or not, they have no idea.
Yeah,
they just
true. Yeah. Yeah, amazing. They just have to pay. And also you spend decades inside complex system of pricing, risk, compliance, and vendors management, revenue operation. What did you have to quit protecting? Loyalty to an industry relationship or a way of doing things before you could actually speak candidly about what you now do now?
I think from my perspective, even in terms of what I'm doing with my consultancy, I think a big chunk of what I'm doing now, you have to establish a trust in the marketplace that you're known for, and I've talked about this on other podcasts, you're known for your integrity and the truth that you bring to the table. It's not about selling you another thing. It's about, do you have the integrity, the trust, and the transparency to truly be bringing this information? And that is something I've built an entire career on. And at this most recent juncture with Zahaitis Consulting, what I have, that is what I'm bringing to the marketplace is, I'm not here to sell you merchant processing. I have nowhere to sign you. I have nothing to sell you other than my services as a consultant to help you make sure you're getting where you're at, the best value for what you want. And that's different. And the reason it's different is the minute you align yourself with a house, a bank, a processor, or anything else, all of a sudden you're perceived as just trying to sell that merchant the next thing. And that's where you have to kind of make that definition, that draw that line and separate it, is that you're no longer selling a thing. You're truly out there to provide them with what they need and what they've not been getting, which is that transparent insight as to what they're paying.
Yeah, amazing. Integrity and your years of being in the particular industry. Yeah, 30 years, it's a whole lot.
Hey, you're making it sound like it's a long time. It is.
Just imagine what it looked like. I'm just 30 and I'm like, whoa, my whole life has been in the industry.
Well, it's fun when I tell some people who I work with in the industry and they tell me either how old they are. I'm like, I've been doing this longer than you've even been alive, which is not a bad thing. I'm old. I'll admit it. But yeah, it's been a while. It's been a great career and it's been a great industry. And there are a lot of things happening and changing. And we've got a lot of changes as an industry coming. Again, I always say if you get tired of the payments industry, just wait. It's kind of like Chicago weather. If you're tired of it, just wait 20 minutes. It'll change. And that's true. I mean, we are seeing a lot of changes taking place even in the payment space. And it's been great. I've enjoyed it. But I've finally gotten to the point where I'm tired of what some of the others, industry others, are pitching. Time to take a different approach.
Yeah, time to take a different approach. Yeah. And also, you have said that payment industries are weaponized complexity. What did you have to quit out? Tolerating in your own work, or the jargon, the indirection, the normal obscurity, before you could actually build a practice entirely on clarity instead?
I'm still learning. I mean, I've been told by a lot of people I have forgotten more than most people even need to know. But I will say that if you're not constantly learning and trying to learn more, you'll fall behind. So I'll be the first one to admit that while I know a lot, and I've certainly been doing it for a long time, I am not above learning something new and continuing to learn, because I don't think you ever in any industry know it all. You have to constantly be a student. I just was on a podcast earlier this morning talking about the fact that you need to be a student of life. You need to always be willing to do continual learning, because if you're not, now you're suddenly stagnant and you're all behind.
Yeah, you have to be a continuous learner, given the part that things are changing every now and then. And what worked yesterday might not get to work today. You have to keep adapting and seeing what you could use the previous knowledge to align to this current knowledge towards bringing what the best to the market. Yeah, amazing. And also, you work with our founders or operator and executive who want clarity on their payment method. What is the question that unlocks the real conversation once the cheapest rate conversation is off the table?
If I'm understanding the question correctly, from a founder perspective, what question are they not asking?
Yes.
Honestly, I think the biggest question that most founders, most business operators are not asking is not so much what am I paying, but what value am I getting for what I'm paying? Because some merchants, some clients, even of mine, they're getting a pretty good value for what they're doing. But I would say that most business owners don't know, meaning I'm getting a good price, but I'm not using any of the reporting. I'm getting a good price and they've got great chargeback support, but I'm really not using it, even though I get a couple chargebacks. I'm getting a great price and I have no clue whether the chargebacks are going well or whether I'm getting reporting or whether I'm getting my money fast enough. There you go. You're not asking just what's the price. What am I getting for that price?
What am I getting for the price? Asking for accountability.
No one gets payment processing free. The minute someone tells you, I'll give you this payment processing for free, I can already tell you they're already lying to you.
Yeah. Yeah, such a reason. And also, you draw a clear line now between payment as a cost center and payment as a strategic lever. What do you personally have to quit believing about how business think about revenue operation before you could build a consulting model around that distinction?
No one likes to talk about the cost side of payments because that's managing and minimizing cost. That's an accounting function. And there is a limit to that function in terms of how much cost you can strip out of it before you start losing functionality. But the part that a lot of businesses don't look at, and that's exactly the question you're asking, is, okay, great. I want to sell this product outside of the market that I've been in forever, whether it's US or some other country, I want to go to another market. Going in with the assumption that what works here in the United States is going to work well in Europe, bad move. And you need to look at that revenue enhancement of I'm going to accept a different payment type in a more holistic way. Some clients do that or think they do that. For the most part, I've found that they don't. They will have the ability to accept a foreign payment in a foreign place in a foreign world via a shopping cart and yet still present the pricing for their product in US dollars. Well, if you're doing that in Japan and not presenting it in yen, you're missing the opportunity for someone who only thinks in yen, and now you're presenting it in dollar. Now you're forcing them to have to make the conversion. And for most clients, merchants, consumers online today, what they're going to do is click next page. They're going to go to the next provider without, not a matter of not having to think, but if you're making them think that much, you're not actually pitching to me, the consumer. You're pitching to yourself as the business, and you've forgotten me.
Yeah. This is really amazing that all the business owners are now getting to see how does our vendors think, where are they coming from, and what is their currency, and what is the acceptable things they are willing to actually more like use as a payment method compared to what you yourself value attaching more like yeah, I think it's amazing having to think 2 steps ahead before actually even make a reference. So reaching out. Yeah, it's amazing. You have said that technology and AI cannot fix broken leadership or broken process. They just automate the die function or more like faster. What is the most expensive automation decision you have seen company make before underlying processes was sound?
There are some I can't say because it would be politically incorrect, but I think the ones that we can say, I think what I've seen, and I've seen this happen recently with a number of companies, even when it comes to AI, the belief that an AI implementation of any kind, whether it's in payments or anywhere else in the organization, is going to quote unquote fix the problem. It might assist with managing the problem, and eventually long term, I think we'll get to a point where AI will help us fix problems. The problem that I have seen, even in the payment space, especially in the payment space, a lot of the implementation of AI is only helping to get to bad decisions and mistakes faster and at scale. Because now you have a tool that, I don't want to say it doesn't care, but operates on a very, very specific set of rules. If the rules aren't perfect, tight, and appropriate, now all of a sudden you have it making bad decisions. And you release it into an environment where it gets to make those decisions at scale. Now all of a sudden you have really a bunch of, now I've lost control. A human making bad decisions over the course of a couple hours, a couple days, a couple weeks, I can slow down. You give an AI that tool and you let it make it at scale across an entire organization, it'll only take an hour or two for it completely to screw everything up because it's making those decisions at scale.
This is really key, being that if you haven't get to figure out what this particular problem is and get better at this thing at it, AI can just come into being able to kind of what's even made the problem larger owing to the fact that there's an underlying
stuff. It makes the mistakes faster.
Yeah.
That's all. It's not helping.
Yeah,
it's making the mistakes faster.
Yeah, this is really key, being that, you can't scale a company that you don't know much about very effectively with AI compared to when you have not figured it out and being able to deal with all the loopholes before actually like using AI to scale the management. Yeah, this is really amazing. And also you talk about vendors dependency as one of the most consistent outcome of a company that never fully understood their payment system. What does business have to quit fearing? Is it the disruption, the renegotiation, or the difficulties of change before they can actually more like take back?
I've seen way too many businesses do this where, and again, I'm not going to call out any one software vendor or provider in the marketplace, but I've seen this where software and or providers of services present it as a cheap payment price. When in fact, at the end of the day, the only thing that really the business owner is making a decision on is the cheap payment price. And they're not looking behind the curtain of what am I getting for that payment price that either locks me into a tool that I can no longer get away from, single source payment provider. You can think of some of those that are out there that exist in life. But also, what does if your model is selling software, if your model is building software that really provides value, you want to make revenue off of what you're building. If your model is to build software, but your only revenue structure that you're really looking at, I'm going to give you the software for free. All I want is your merchant processing that comes with it. What does that say about the software? Clearly, that's not got a lot of investment in it. Otherwise, how could you give it for free? So when you look at that, and I've told every one of my clients and clients I've talked to, friends, so I'm going to go out, I'm a restaurant guy. I'm going to go out and get this whole new software system, and they're going to give it to me, and they're going to help me install it. And 2 years later, same guy, talked to him. He goes, not that he hates it. He's already bought in, so he's got to stick with it. They've increased my price like 3 or 4 times, and there's nothing I can do about it because I can't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
You're now allowing yourself to have options in the context of your business when you lock yourself into a model that doesn't give you the options. And that would be something I would say to clients. Don't look at it as a decision about, this is great, I get an all-in-one package and a cheap price. Really? If it sounds too good to be, my dad always told me, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
It sounds too good to be true, it's probably. This is just by a whole lot of things you actually get to look at clearly before actually making a decision, or like the technology will just for you for free. Then there might be actually more like the loophole at the end of it, which you haven't get to see from the head start. Yeah, amazing. And also, what is a sign that a revenue operation is working by luck rather than by design?
Wow, that's a good one. I actually have not gotten that question. Well, let's think about that for a second. What shows that revenue operation is working by virtue of luck, not by design? I have had clients, I've had from some very large clients in my history that have some really good software systems implementations, and because of the nature of working with them and their big clients, they have some pretty good pricing. And when you strip behind the decision, what they made, when they made, why they made it, whatever they did, you find there was less vigorous due diligence and just somebody that liked it and they made the decision and it was the right decision. Kudos to them. Maybe it was a gut level decision. But I've looked at a number of companies that, well, we've used this software forever. Okay, why? We just have. But why? Just have. Okay, that's not a good enough reason in my book. There's a reason why you're doing it. Now, it's happened, this particular client I'm thinking of in my head happens to be a pretty good decision. Kudos to you. I mean, it's a good thing. But if you can't point back as to why you did it, empirically, there's just a good operating revenue model that's right. And good that they made it, good that they're good. I mean, we certainly helped them with that, and we helped them propel it even further with the revenue model that we tried to help with additional payment types. But at the end of the day, it was, to your point, it was luck. It wasn't really a decision.
Yeah, amazing. Just feel by luck, they could actually get it right. Yeah, this explanation just speaks volumes. And also, for businesses on our listener right now or who accept payment every day, but couldn't fully explain how their pricing model work out, what is the first thing they need to quit assuming about their current setup?
You're playing right into my hand. This is awesome. I tell every single merchant, every one of your listeners, I don't care how big or small you are, take your total volume. It's called what's called effective rate. Take your total volume for the month, dollars, yen, D-Mark, euro, Great Britain, I don't care. Total volume within your world divided by the total fees that you paid for your digital payment processing for the month. Not the bottom of page 1, the bottom of page 5 or 8 or wherever it is. That's the end of all of the fees, including the month, the one times, the 1 month, the quarterlies, the whatever. And I suggest every client that I have do that every month for 12 months because some providers slip an annual fee in. And it's always right around December or January. So you get this big fee that you're charged, but because your volume was so high because of the Christmas months, you kind of don't notice it. So I recommended it. If you know your effective rate, my total volume divided by my total fees equals X, 3.5%. Okay. Next question everybody will ask me, is that good or is that bad, Joe? I don't know. What's your business? What are you selling? How risky is it? How much of it is online? There's a whole bunch of questions. It's not good or bad. It just is. Now I know what my rate is. And if today, July, it's 3.5%, and I do it again in August and it's 4%, whoa, it went up.
Yeah.
Or I paid 3.5% in July, and in August it goes down to 2.5%. Whoa, what happened in July that I was charged so much? So it is the first, and then one time doing it, which everybody does. They will calculate their effective rate one time. Poof. Joe, I'm paying 3.25. That's good. That might have been the best month, and everything else was 3.5, 4, and you don't know that unless you one point does not make a line until you calculate this out for a period of time. You kind of don't know what you're paying. Now, do you know all of the nuance of all of the individual fees, charges, this, backs up? No, but it's a starting point. And it's a starting point I recommend for every single client that I have and every one of your listeners. Total volume divided by total fees equals your effective rate. That's a starting point.
Yeah. Amazing being able to kind of take the total that you shall pay for the whole year and review every one of them month by month and be able to kind of divide it by the average to know what the actual monthly cost is. Yeah, this is really amazing. We're getting to decode it. Amazing. So, for a growing company heading into complexity, new market, new channel, international expansion, what is the single most important things they need to quit building on before they scale?
There's a lot to consider. One of the first ones is, and again, I've worked in the international space for a decade plus now. So, that's become a big part of what I've done even in my payments career is working with international companies. And one of the things I've noticed that I didn't know when I first started is if you're going to go international, what are the requirements for international? I'm selling a physical product in another country and I'm going to take local currency and I'm going to process it locally. Well, where are you going to deposit it? What bank are you going to put it in? How are you going to get it handled? Where is it going to go? Do you need to have an entity, an actual physical business registered within that country? So a lot of decisions that need to be made. You don't just go overseas and say, you know what? I'm going to start taking yen and I'm just going to have it deposited in my local bank account here in the Chicago area. And I'd check with the banker first because most times, that doesn't work. So you need to look at the rules and regulations. Larger companies will look into this, but then it becomes a function of, okay, now you got to start backing that into the engine, the company. Yeah. Okay, we're going to take euro. We talked about this earlier. Do we show our product price in euro? No, we show it in dollars. Okay, we're going to try and sell in Europe here. We probably should show it in euro. Well, the whole tech stack guys have got to get in. And do you calculate that dynamically, automatically? Do you do it month over month? Do you change the prices? How do you change price? There's a lot that you have to back in. Selling internationally is not impossible. It involves a whole nother level exponentially of decisions you have to make.
Yeah, amazing. They involve a whole lot of decisions you have to make before you actually know that comes then with it. Yeah, this is really amazing. So lastly, tell us about yourself and your service you offer, and also where my listener can book a direct conversation with you, also to explore.
Well, we'll start and we'll end with the connection part because that's the easiest. If you want to email me, first name Joe at last name Zahaitis.com. I own the domain. You want to find me on the internet? Zahaitis.com. Easiest way to find me, and all of the connection information on there. And I'm sure you'll have it as a part of your podcast. In terms of, from a perspective, not only get a hold of me, what do? I provide that, big or small, mostly mid to large tier clients. I provide that support, that merchant level support to say, Joe, we're taking payments. We're not sure what we're paying. I tell them, have you calculated effective rate? No, we haven't done it. Okay, why don't you go do that? Hey, can you do that for us? Sure, I can for a fee, and I'll do it for even 12 months worth to help you figure out where we're at. But that's the type of insight I bring to clients as to now, what are you paying? How much? Do I think it's high or low? And where do I think, and this is what I provide as a service, where do I think not just in the cost containment in terms of making sure the costs are as low as possible, but also, as we talked about, where are there revenue opportunities? Where could you be accepting a different payment model that would either get you more revenue, net revenue, or keep more of the revenue versus a credit card?
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Joe. This has really been amazing, and thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, a whole lot of how you make decisions now, going to 30 years of experience. Really amazing. My audience would love to reach out just the way he mentioned the various link. Check the show notes and you definitely see the link to easily reach out to explore more on this work. Yeah, Joe, thank you for your reminder that clarity is not just a preference, but a competitive advantage. And at the cost of not understanding how money moves through your business is never zeros. It's exactly what this audience needed to hear. And remember that staying comfortable with what's mostly work is never a safe option. Understanding what should be done is. Once again, a pleasure and honor having you on the show.
Thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it.